Dr. Lorraine Haataia empowers writers to finish their books. She is the founder of Prolific Writers Life, an online community connecting writers with live experts for workshops and collaborative sessions. She earned I did say that correctly, 6 degrees, including a PhD, before the age of 35. Someone loves to learn. Lorraine's work is published worldwide, and she just published her book, it's titled Finish Your Book. I love that. Finish Your Book. Lorraine has lived in the US, France, and China, and she's traveled to dozens of countries. Currently based in Arizona, Lorraine travels the United States in her RV, exploring and inspiring her fellow writers. Tonight, Lorraine will be sharing her insights in a 15 to 20-minute speech on the topic, how to choose the right writing community. Would you please join me in welcoming to the virtual lectern our guest speaker here at WriteOn Toastmasters, Dr. Lorraine Haataia.
Great. Hi, everyone. Let's see. So, quick question for all of you. How many of you have been a member of some sort of writing group? Now, I'm spotlighted. Can I turn this so I can see everybody? Let's see. Okay. How many of you, if you're here at WriteOn Toastmasters, you are at a writing community. So aside from this Toastmasters group, how many of you have been a member of another writing community of some sort? A writing group, you've gone to literary festivals, book festivals, you've been out there, maybe a state writing association. Okay, so some of you are already familiar with some different types of writing communities. WriteOn Toastmasters partners with Prolific Writers Life. We are two different types of writing communities. Both have tremendous value. And one of the things that I would like to discuss tonight is what kind of communities are right for you wherever you are in your writing life. So how many of you would like to finish a book, write a book? That's just about a good part. Or how about some of you, maybe you have other writing projects, whether that's blogging or journaling or for your work. So is everybody here kind of have something to do with writing? Okay. So that's what we're going to look at is if you are writing, we often think about people who are writing as being all alone in a cabin, in a closet, in their kitchen, maybe even in a coffee shop with headphones on, and they're kind of doing their own thing in their own tunnel. But what I would like to suggest is that is only one aspect of your writer life. And that's a very narrow aspect of your writer life. By the way, thank you for whoever said prolific is the word tonight, because Prolific Writers Life, I don't know if I've ever had such an easy time to call out that word of the day. So what I'm going to talk about is in Finish Your Book. This is my most recent book published on August 13th. And I'm going to be talking about chapter 8 in this book, which is about choosing the right writing community for wherever you are in your writing process. So I am going to drop a link. Oh, before we do that, I'm giving away a free ebook today. And let me tell you how. I'm going to drop in the chat. Let's see, Control C. If you go to the link in the chat, and can I share screen? I think, let's see, send request to share screen. Okay, thank you. And if you click on that link, let's see. Share. If you click, you're going to come to this page. If you sign up for Prolific Writers Life newsletter, and you can have a chance to win a free ebook today. So that link is in the chat. And I'm going to stop share. If you have already subscribed to the Prolific Writers Life newsletter, you can send me a private message, drop your email in the private message, so everybody will get a chance. But so one way or the other, and you will win a free ebook. So come back here. So I'm going to share again. This is a blog article, and I will drop this in the chat as well. Share chat. So if you want to follow along, this is a blog article I wrote that kind of corresponds with what I'm going to talk about. And by the way, this is another way that you can repurpose what you do. So if you do a blog article can become a talk. A speech can become a blog article, vice versa. It can go either way. And here's what we're going to talk about is choosing the right writing communities. So there are 4 different types of writing communities that I'd like to talk about. And they are, one is quadrant 1, another is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So let's take a look at the difference for some of these. So I call quadrant 1 fleeting encounters. So if you've ever been to a book festival or a writing conference or any kind of conference that you go to, even if it's not a writing conference, open mic nights, these are places where you go, where you meet someone. Maybe you get to talk, you have a great conversation, maybe for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes if you hang around long at somebody's book festival booth. Or maybe you're at a writing conference and you have dinner at a keynote speech with somebody and you talk to them for even an hour or 2. So these are places where you have a short-term connection with somebody that might be anywhere from 3 minutes to 3 hours or even longer possibly, but then you pretty much maybe never see them again. And to me, this is I consider this kind of like inspiration, or it's like a way to fill your battery to some extent with more information or new connections. And it's not that these relationships that you make have to stay shallow. You may end up getting somebody's card and staying connected with them and becoming lifelong friends with them. That can happen. But statistically, most commonly, you are going to meet them and you're never going to see them again. Very, very common. How many of you, I can't see all your hands right now, but how many of you have had that experience, right? And I was a professor for a long time, and I got to tell you, one of the things that was hardest for me as a professor was, I would say it was short-term, well, I don't know. As a professor, you get to meet with students for about 3 or 4 months. And so I would meet with them, get to know them really well, go a little bit deep with them, but then I would never see them again. And to me, this was heartbreaking. So what this is all leading up to is to have you be aware of what types of situations you're putting yourself in for what types of relationships you're building with fellow writers. I firmly believe that writers need connections with other writers. This is what gives you the information you need to keep going. So our conferences, our writing conferences, good? Oh yes, they're amazing. Is it good to go to a book festival? Oh my goodness, yes. You can meet some great authors, great ideas for marketing your own book. Is it good to go to an open mic? Absolutely. As a Toastmaster, you can go and talk about your book, talk about your blog article, talk about what you're doing. So all of this is good, but you just need to understand the limitation of it, that it's going to take you a lot of effort to keep in touch with people that you meet. I'm going to jump to quadrant 2. I am going to come back and circle back if you have questions. So quadrant 2 is what I call temporary bonds. These are people that you are connected with short term, but you can go kind of deep. And I don't know if any of you have ever been to a writing retreat. I've been to some writing retreats where you get very personal with people. They spill out their heart, tell you their life story, because they're working on a book, and maybe you're there for a week with them. Uh, so you can go really deep very quickly in these kind of situations. I like to call this when you take a long flight. I wonder. You take a long flight on an airplane, and I've done international flights where we're on the flight for 12 hours or whatever, and you're sitting next to somebody, maybe you even fall asleep and your head falls on their shoulder. uh, like you can get to know people pretty well because you're just sitting next to them for so long, and you just go really deep really quick. Alpha and beta readers, the same kind of thing can happen. Somebody might be reading your book, they're really getting to know you, giving you great advice on your book, and you can go really deep. Or accountability partners. Maybe you have a specific accountability partner that you're working with, and you get to go really deep in your relationship. I have a really good friend. When we were living in China, she wrote a book in China about the relationships between married partners. She's a marriage counselor. And she and I were reading each other's information. We became very, very close friends. And then when we left China, she went back to the DC area. I came back to California, and we never saw each other again. So we went deep, but again, it was short term. So you just, again, have to be aware of what you're doing here. And again, no right or wrong, no good or bad. This is just awareness. So another quadrant 3 is about long-term shallow connections. So this means shallow means that you don't necessarily get to deeply know a person. You get to know them on more of a superficial level, or a how's the weather, how are you doing kind of level, but you don't go really deep into a lot of their personal life or their entire writing life and the things that affect their writing life. So this can be local writing groups, associations, critique groups. This could even be Toastmasters, for example. Maybe you come in, you just get to see people twice a month for 1 hour. You recognize their face, they're friendly, they smile. You get to know. The thing about Toastmasters is when people give talks, you can get to know them at a little bit more of a deep and personal level. So that certainly can happen in a Toastmasters group. So that's quadrant 3, where maybe you've known them for, like, how many people in this Toastmasters, and can I scroll? How many have been in this Toastmasters group more than a year? More than 2 years? Oh, wow. Okay, more than 3 years. So you're going to get to know each other if you see somebody for a couple years. Things are going to come up. You're going to say hello at the beginning of the meeting and so forth. So these long-term connections that can last for years, but maybe a little bit shallow unless you meet with them outside the meetings and so forth. Now I'm going to go down to this last one, which I call deep-rooted kinship. And these would be collaborative communities, mentorship circles, long-term networks. These are things where you are meant to go deep and you are meant to learn a lot and stay long. So long-term, deep connections, and this is what we try to do at Prolific Writers Life. This is the community we've got set up. We launched in 2020. We still have members who've been with us since 5.5 years ago. So we get to know each other really well. We have events happening on a daily basis, pretty much, usually 6 days a week, sometimes 7. Doesn't mean people come 7 days a week, but they have the opportunity to really get to know people through different workshops, different connections. And I like to call this kind of like a writing community hub, where writers hang out and you just really get to know each other and help each other. Let's see here. So the question here is, how do you find the right fit? Now, again, all of these are good. You just need to know what you're in the mood for or what you need at this stage of your writing life. If you just need a little bit of inspiration, you could probably get it from level 1, level 2, quadrant 1, quadrant 2. If you're looking for accountability, you might want to go a little bit deeper. If you want ongoing support, again, you're looking for the more long-term commitments. And then Or do you need a true community that will grow with you long term? And that's when you're looking at a quadrant 4 type community. And so I just end this whole blog article here with writing can feel isolating, but it does not have to be. In a matter of fact, I strongly believe, and that's why I formed Prolific Writer's Life. Let me see here. That's why I formed Prolific Writer's Life, so that I'm going to stop share here. Because as a professor, I taught writing, I taught ESL, I taught EFL, I taught in France, taught English in France, and it just broke my heart. At the end of those every 3 or 4, 3 or 4 months, I really genuinely love, I just love working with the students. I love it when a student would come in like this, like, bobbing their head like, oh, I hate writing. I got to get through this. Oh, this is going to be awful. I don't want to be here. I could just read it all over their body language, right? You are Toastmasters. You can read their body language. And I just loved it when I could take a student like that who hated writing, didn't want to do anything. And by the end of the first 30 days or first month or two, they understood the power of the written word. They understood that it was really important to write smart emails for their future, that it was really important to write love letters, right, to the people they loved, or to write postcards to somebody when they're on a trip. But just to understand that writing has so many dimensions to it. And it is a very, very powerful tool that we all have at our fingertips. And so I wanted something that was longer lasting, and that's why I formed Prolific Writer's Life. Now, I was also living in Silicon Valley at the time we launched I started forming the idea in 2018, 2019. When you're in Silicon Valley, you get the bug, everybody has a startup, and I knew that I wanted something different. So that's part of what nudged me to form Prolific Writer's Life. But also, for decades, as a professor and as somebody who was writing, I had formed my own writing groups. I joined other writing groups. I joined Florida Writers Association. I was a member of California Writing Association. I'm currently a member of the Arizona Authors Association. I have gone to many writers' conferences, many writing retreats, visited different writing retreat centers, and gone to talks, gone to open mics, gone to poetry festivals, love book festivals, love going to book festivals and meeting authors. But all of these things, it feels like popcorn, like pop, 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 all this stuff's going on and meeting all these people. Oh my gosh, there's nice people here, nice people there. But there was no connection. There was no way that I could easily stay connected with all these people. It takes great effort one-on-one to stay connected with somebody, especially if they're out of town. And even in today's world, sometimes meeting up for a cup of coffee can take an hour of traffic, even if some of you are living in California, that. I live in the Phoenix area, and the same thing can happen here. So what Prolific Writer's Life does is we are that hub where people can connect long-term through many, many different types of workshops, work sessions. We have experts who host the events. And so think about where you are in your writing life and think about what type of quadrant connection you want in your writing life and what you already have here at WriteOn, which is fantastic. This group is amazing. You guys are spot on. You keep your meetings running so smoothly. It's so impressive. So if you have already signed up for the newsletter, the link is in the chat. I can take a look at that and see who signed up. If you are already on our list, again, send me a private message with your email, and I will be drawing a winner and letting your group know by your next meeting. We'll make sure that that goes out for a winner. And let's see. Oh, Finish Your Book is available on Amazon. And so you can grab that there if you want to. And we're on the yellow, so I think we have 2 minutes for questions left. Does anybody have a question about writing communities?
Or go to.
I'm sorry? Any questions? Any thoughts? Erica?
Thank you, Lorraine. That was a wonderful presentation, and it really encapsulated the whole idea about community. And I really liked the fact that you showed what types of communities were available. And so it was kind of nice to think, oh, okay, I've done that one. I've done that one. So that was great. I did have one question, just because I'm not that familiar with the details of it. You mentioned as part of, I believe it was the third quadrant. I think it was, or maybe it was the second. Anyway, you were talking about alpha and beta readers. Can you talk a little bit about what that involves?
Sure. Typically, when you're working on your manuscript, if you are in a critique group and sharing some of your very first drafts, you haven't cleaned it up a lot, that might be like an alpha reader. Now, some people, it kind of, when you talk about alpha reader, beta readers, there's a hint that they're going to get to read the entire document. So especially when you're talking about beta readers. So a beta reader is somebody who gets to see your whole book before it's published, and they give you feedback on it. And this is really helpful because if you're going to get any feedback, you want to know before you publish it than after you publish it. So, and this is particularly helpful whether you are self-publishing or publishing traditionally. So, but alpha readers are seeing the more unpolished manuscript, whereas the beta readers are seeing the manuscript after you have done quite a bit of revision on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And any other questions?
Yes. Where is your favorite place to write that you really can just hammer it out?
Oh, wow, Sandra. I just recently, probably a couple months ago, I went to an online writing retreat for 4 days, and we wrote for 4 days, cleared our calendar. I wrote 27,000 words. I drafted the entire draft of my next book. And at the end of every hour, we put up our word count. And I'm not a competitive person. I am not competitive. But I'll tell you what, when it came to putting words on the board, that motivated me, and I wanted to hammer out the words. But I absolutely love being around writers almost anywhere, Sandra. And my husband and I have an RV, and I love being out in our RV as well, out in nature and writing. So I can't think of a bad place to write, actually. But I can concentrate better in some areas than others. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And I see red, so I don't know if we're done, or is it red and then we have Q&A time?
Well, I think we've had some Q&A. If we have another question, we do have time for one more question.
Was everybody able to find the newsletter link and get there okay? Okay.
So this is Christine. I'll make a comment. We had been talking about doing a WriteOn writer's room, and we are going to do we did one already, but we're going to do another one the third week rather of November, since we're only going to have one meeting in November. Now, you just said something that I had not heard or thought of before, was to put your word count up at the end of the hour. Does that create an unnecessary competition, though, for new writers?
You can absolutely leave it optional. That's one thing you could do. Or let people know in advance. Hey, if you really are interested in increasing your word count, we're going to have this special writing sprint. The sprint would be like for an hour. A marathon is more like the 4-day writing retreat, where you're really trying to hammer out so people, this is really, if you're going to create the word count thing, Christine, I would say this is only if you're going to bring people who really want to get some progress on their writing. And let me just say one more thing about that is, part of the reason for doing that is to remind you, a lot of us, I don't know how many of you have this, like you write a paragraph, or you write a page, or you write a chapter, And then you come back to it, and all you do is start revising what you just wrote the last time, instead of writing the next chapter and the next chapter and getting the whole manuscript done first. So part of the reason for doing that word count is to say, keep going, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, get your whole manuscript out, get it all out, then go back and revise. So if you position it that way, then people will understand why it is like that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm a DTM Toastmaster. I see red. I better stop.
Well, I want to say thank you on behalf of WriteOn Toastmasters, Lorraine, for such an amazing presentation on community, on writing community specifically, and how we can all find our community to take us to the next level in terms of our writing path, our writing journey. So thank you to, let's give Lorraine a snap of the fingers or clapping of the hands to let her know that we appreciate her and thank her for her participation as a speaker today. And thank you so much for all the insightful questions as well.